everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Tiny Kitchen. I am your host, Olivia Saez, and tonight we are actually cooking dinner. This is about 7:30 at night, and you're going to see firsthand how we're going to make dinner because it's easy and it'll take a few minutes and it's super healthy. So stick around today. We're going to make an heirloom tomato salad. So here we have assembled our ingredients for our heirloom tomato salad, and the very first one is something that you might recognize if you saw our first episode, and this is our salt and pepper blend. Of course, always a staple on the table. It's super easy to use, so never forget it. We have our olive oil, of course. We have a super yummy balsamic vinegar. This one is actually something that you might find weird, but don't freak out. It's dark chocolate balsamic, and it's so good. If you can get your hands on some, definitely grab it. It's different. It's unique. It's got a little bit of sweetness, but still that bite of balsamic, so you're not feeling like you're biting on a piece of sugar. It's really quite delicious, especially with some of the tart flavors that come with these heirloom tomatoes. So a really good blend to have. In addition to that, I have honey, and this honey will also do the same trick. It will balance out the tartness from the tomatoes, the intensity of the balsamic, and really blend everything together really well. So in addition to your food ingredients, make sure you have a nice sharp knife and a good cutting board to cut on, and a bowl to toss everything in, and we can get started. So our first step is to cut up our tomatoes. Now make sure that your tomatoes are clean. Remember, we got these fresh off the farm. Even in the supermarket, you don't know if there's pesticides or dirt or even just from people handling the vegetables before you got there. You really want to make sure that you wash everything before you go ahead and eat it. Tomato, and that's really just going to add a little bit of balance and flavor to our heirloom variety, and all you need to do is just cut it up into whatever size pieces that you'd like. Try to keep it uniform with the rest of your salad just so that the pieces aren't sticking out too much. Again, they are more for flavor and color and variety than anything else. So while we're chopping up our tomatoes, I just wanted to mention that tomatoes are insanely healthy for you. They have quite a lot of nutrients and disease-fighting qualities that really make this a superfood and something that you should incorporate into your diet if you can, as much as possible. The salad goes really well with, a piece of chicken or another protein that you like. If you don't eat meat, then pasta is really great, or couscous, or again, rice if you're gluten-free. And you can really incorporate some really healthy elements into your diet. So tomatoes specifically definitely have a lot of vitamin C, cancer-fighting qualities, and anti-inflammatory too, which I thought was pretty cool. So the salad is not only easy to make, but really good for you too. We have just cut up our beautiful heirloom tomatoes, and already I can see it's going to be a gorgeous salad. So the next thing we need to do is make our dressing. And before we put our tomatoes in the bowl, we'll make our dressing in the bowl first. Now, a cool trick my mom taught me, and a really good rule of thumb, is to use the spoon that you're serving your salad with to make your dressing. So we are going to take this spoon right here, and the ratio is 2 to 1. So 2 olive oil spoons to 1 vinegar spoon. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Use our spoon as our measuring guide. Fill up our spoon once. Next, I'm going to grab my dark chocolate balsamic vinegar, which I could eat on its own. It's so good. It's not even that bitey. It doesn't have that strong balsamic flavor. So again, with our ratio, we're going to do... Once we've put our oil and vinegar together in our bowl, we're going to take a couple teaspoons, or pinches, large pinches I guess, of our salt and pepper blend. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to add the honey to our dressing. Now be careful not to add too much. If you add too much, it will be overly sweet and probably not very good. Especially if you're doing like I am, using a sweeter balsamic vinegar, the more honey you add, the worse it's going to be. So really just add a little dollop or a tiny bit. I like to eyeball it and just see sort of how much I'm putting in here. But just to be on the safe side, use probably about a half a teaspoon at most. I wouldn't use much more. If you feel like you want it a little sweeter because you're using a traditional balsamic vinegar, go ahead and add as much as you like. Make sure to taste it in between just to be sure. So before we add in our tomatoes, I just want to taste the dressing to be sure it's not too sweet, not too salty, or maybe not salty enough, or maybe needs some other sort of flavor that is a little bit missing. So I like to take my pinky sometimes, just dunk it right in there, and do a little taste. Oh, perfect. That dark chocolate balsamic is so good. You have to get your hands on some. Okay, so now what we're going to do is add our tomatoes. I'm sure you all know how to do, is stir up our tomatoes and get it nicely dressed. So we made dinner, guys, just like that. Your heirloom tomato salad is all plated and ready to eat. And like I said earlier, you can add protein or a carb if you prefer, but dinner is all done. Next time on The Tiny Kitchen. We're making sliders for Labor Day, but they're not ordinary sliders. Filled with bacon and onion, your crowd will be asking for more. And yes, in our tiny kitchen, you can cook for a crowd. Stick with me on our next episode, and I'll show you how. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll see you next time on The Tiny Kitchen.